All right. Stewart's not here.
Stuart's not here.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. You guys, all those that are able, you can sit. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's start with the roll call.
Mayor Delaquila.
Here.
Director of Law Pignatello.
Here.
Director of Finance Herwick.
Here.
Councilman at Large Elliott.
Here.
Councilwoman at Large Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman at Large Stager.
Here.
Ward 1 Councilman Biassiata.
Here.
Ward 2 Councilman Robo.
Here.
Ward 3 Councilman Snitsky.
Here.
Ward 4 Councilman Greenwald.
Here.
Director of Public Service and Properties Levis. Building Commissioner Vitardi.
Here.
Engineer Collins.
Here.
Now I have the reading and disposal of the journal. Having read the council minutes of meeting March 14, 2016, I find no errors or omissions. Therefore, I move that they be approved as printed.
A second.
Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Now moving on to the minutes of the regular council meeting February 12, 2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
having read the council minutes of the council meeting dated February 12, 2018, I find no errors or omissions, and therefore I move that they be approved as printed.
I second.
Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
The minutes of February 12, 2018 have been approved. Moving on to consent agenda, February 26, 2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
there is no division of the question. I move that we accept the consent agenda for February 26, 2018.
Second.
Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Minutes have been approved. I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read a resolution 2-2018 for its first and final reading
I second.
in its entirety. I'm sorry.
I second.
Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Before we have the reading, I'd just like to send my congratulations to Mr. Masick and his family, a Ward 1 resident I've known for a few years now. Proud to say that. And a little bit more background information on why we're given the resolution of accommodation tonight. Tonight he's here with his wife Carol of 66 years. Congratulations. Daughter Kathy, you, 2 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Seven Hills resident since 1966. Graduate of John Adams High School. You want me to say the year? The proud class of 1946. U.S. Marine, 3 years, and served in the Korean War in 1950. Thank you for your service. Our country owes you a debt of gratitude, and you and all your fellow Marines. Semper Fi. Cleveland police officer, 30 years. More service to the community. Held position with the Cleveland Board of Education for 28 years. More and more service to the community. Fire Department. Hired March 1966 as a volunteer fireman and rose to the rank of Assistant Fire Chief, then Fire Chief. Resigned as Fire Chief in 1977. That's a long retirement. Continued as a firefighter on until November 1983. Ward 2 councilman here in Seven Hills, elected in 1983. Planning Commission member from January 1986 to December 31st, 1990. And then most recently, Civil Service Commission for 14 years from January 2003 up until November 1st, 2017. Thank you for all that you've done. And now we're going to have the reading.
Resolution number 2, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Roble, Snitsky, and Greenwald. A resolution of commendation to Larry J. Masick, City of Seven Hills, Ohio. Whereas Larry J. Masick, a Seven Hills resident since 1966, has completed many valuable years of service to the City of Seven Hills as a volunteer fireman, assistant fire chief, firefighter, Ward 2 councilman, planning commission member, and Civil Service Commission chairman and Civil Service Commission member. And whereas council and all elected and appointed officials hereby specifically wish to honor and recognize Larry J. Masick for his outstanding service and dedication to our community. Now therefore, be it resolved by the council of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, that the appreciation of the mayor of council and all other elected and appointed officials is hereby extended to Larry J. Masick for his sincere dedication and active service to the community and the residents of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio. That the clerk of council be and she is hereby authorized and directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to Larry J. Masick immediately upon its adoption. That this resolution is hereby determined to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare of the City of Seven Hills, and for the further reason that same affects the day-to-day business of the municipality. Wherefore, this resolution shall take effect and be in force immediately upon its adoption, otherwise at the earliest period allowed by law.
Any comments from council? On Resolution 2-2018?
Thank you for your service.
Yes, congratulations and thank you for those years of service.
Director, Councilwoman Kelly.
Yes, I was just going to say, thank you so much, Mr. Masick. We appreciate it, and thank you for your service and dedication. Very impressive.
Director Pignatello?
Yes, it's been my honor and privilege to have worked with Larry back in 1983 as a councilman. I have nothing but admiration for Larry. As you can tell from hearing this resolution read, all the times Larry stepped up, he counted when the city needed him. And, I'm proud to call him my friend.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, if I may. I also have a proclamation I would request permission to present after council has presented its resolution.
Sure.
My experience with Mr. Masick is one of a dedicated public servant, an individual who has consistently, without failure, always put the city first before his personal agenda. A civil, competent, dedicated person, the kind of resident our city is and should be proud of. Thank you, sir, for all you've done for your city and for your country. Thank you.
All right. And, yep, any further comment from council?
Thank you, sir. You're an inspiration.
All right, no further comment? Roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Motion.
I motion to approve.
Second?
I'm sorry, motion to adopt resolution number 2-2018.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Absolutely.
Roble.
Yes,
Resolution 2-2018 has been adopted. resolution of accommodation for all the issues. Would you like to speak? Maybe.
I don't think I need the mic.
Okay. The floor is yours, Larry.
Right, I think you can hear me. Most of my time to speak was taken up by the previous meeting. So I just want to say that it was always a pleasure to do the things that I did for the city, because we have a wonderful city here. And I appreciate it. The ladies that run the departments that keep the city going nice and smooth were always just great. And I could not have accomplished time-wise what I had to do without the full cooperation of my wife. And that made a lot, because I went from working shifts to a day job with Saturdays and Sundays off, and I got elected to council on a landslide election with Mr. Sartini, who was a very good opponent, and I won by 11 votes.
Landslide.
It was always really a pleasure to work with the people that were in the administration, the ladies that took care of the department. They were knowledgeable, they were courteous, and we got along well. Regardless of what area I was working with. Thank you very much for the confirmation.
Another. All right, the accolades aren't over yet. We're going to have a proclamation from the mayor of Seven Hills. Mr. Delacqua.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. With your indulgence, I'd like to read it in its entirety into the record. A lot of it you've already touched on, however. It reads, Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas Lawrence J. Masek is being honored this day, February 26, 2018, for his contributions to the city of Seven Hills. Whereas Lawrence J. Masek was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and graduated from John Adams High School in 1946. A member of the United States Marine Corps, he served in the Korean War. He has been married to the love of his life, Carol, for 66 years. They have one daughter, Kathy, 2 grandchildren, Scott and Christy, and 4 great-grandchildren. Larry began a long and distinguished career with the Cleveland Police Department, retiring after 30 years on the force. At this time, he also served on the Cleveland Board of Education for 28 years, where he was a very effective member. And whereas Lawrence J. Masek moved to the city of Seven Hills in 1966 and has been very active in the city of Seven Hills since. He has served in various capacities in the city, including being a volunteer firefighter, then the assistant fire chief, and finally the fire chief through 1977. Larry then continued as a firefighter until November 1983, when he was elected councilman of Ward 2, serving 1 term. Larry also served as a planning commission member from 1986 to 1990. He was appointed to the Civil Service Commission in January 2003 and remained in that appointment until October 2017, serving not only as a member but also chairman during that time period. And whereas Lawrence J. Masek is a true community leader who has contributed to the growth and success of the city of Seven Hills and is an example to us all, is being honored this day. And now, therefore, I, Richard Delaquila, Mayor of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, together with all city officials and residents of Seven Hills, respectfully honor Lawrence J. Masek and join him, along with his family and friends, in celebrating his many contributions to the city. Dated this 26th day of February in the year of our Lord, 2018, signed by Mayor Richard Delaquila. Thank you again, sir, so much. We really appreciate everything you've done for the city. Thank you.
Mr. Masek, if you and your family, you're invited to stick around, but if you'd like to,
My daughter's a chauffeur.
yes. So we'll take a brief break. Thank you. Kathy, you need any assistance or? You're welcome. Have a nice evening. Drive safe. You're welcome. Congratulations again. It takes a whole family to do successful things sometimes. Take care.
Take care.
Have a nice evening. Yay! We all here? All right, moving on to reports of committees. Planning, zoning, economic development.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The next planning, zoning, and economic development is on Monday, March 19th. Previous meeting minutes are on file with the clerk.
Public Works.
Mr. President, the last meeting of the Public Works Committee was held on 2/5, that's February 5th, and the next one will be March 5th, ironically enough. The minutes from the February 5th meeting are on file with the clerk.
Police and safety.
Yes, the last meeting was February 20th. The minutes are pending. The next meeting is going to be March 19th.
Parks and Recreation.
Yes, Mr. President. Our last meeting was on Tuesday, February 20th. The meeting minutes are on file with the clerk. Our next meeting will be on Monday, March 19th.
Rules, Ordinance, and Ethics.
Yes, Mr. President. Our last meeting of February 5th. Our next meeting is March 5th, and the minutes are on file with the council clerk.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Our last Finance, Civil Service, and Personnel meeting was February 20th. Those minutes are pending. Our next meeting will be March 5th. Any appointments or confirmations tonight? All right. Communications, petitions, and claims. We have one communication tonight from Jim Kukrow. It's in regards to the Kelvin Park. I have read it. It's very well written. With his permission, we're just going to submit it to the record. It talks about the quality of the dirt and the grading, which I agree are of poor quality. So I'm going to give this to the clerk, and this will be distributed in the minutes throughout our public distribution list. Thank you, Mr. Kukrow. Do we have any other communications?
No more.
Council's now open to the audience on legislation only. For front row, second row, third row, fourth. Thank you. Moving on to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 7-2018. I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 7-2018 for its third and final reading.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 7-2018 introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio with TAC Computer to provide 2018 annual RMS and hardware support, MDT, services and appurtenances for the City of Seven Hills Police Department and appropriating the sum not to exceed $7,500 for said service.
I move that we pass ordinance number 7-2018.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Ordinance 7-2018 is passed. Moving on to amended ordinance number 12-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 12-2018 by title only for its second and final reading.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 12, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to appropriate the sum not to exceed $5,000 for the purchase of UPM mix cold mix asphalt for use by the Department of Public Service and Properties, determining and accepting the Code of Unique Paving Materials of Cleveland, Ohio, to be the best quote therefore, authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement for the purchase of said cold mix asphalt and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman.
I move that we pass ordinance number 12-2018.
I second.
Before we call the roll, I'd just like to comment, this is for the cold patch. It's to patch potholes. The service director said we were running low on the cold patch, and we have unseasonably warm weather, and they're patching potholes, so we don't want to run out. And at his request, we're going to pass this on emergency so that the pothole patching doesn't goes uninterrupted. Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Amended ordinance 12-2018 has passed. Moving on to ordinance 19-2018. I skipped a page.
You sure did.
We are now going to have the second reading of
That's one way to
ordinance.
move it along, sir.
Yeah. Second reading of ordinance number 13-2018.
Ordinance number 13, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to appropriate an additional sum of $9,870 as a change order to amended ordinance number 68, 2016, passed by council June 13, 2016, which authorized an initial amount of $19,500 to Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated for professional engineering and architectural services in regard to the Hemlock Creek Watershed Utility Improvement Project.
And we'll now have the reading of ordinance 14-2018.
Ordinance number 14, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila. An ordinance to amend section 148.04A, compensation of the recreation complex manager, as contained in Title V Administrative of Part 1 Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of increasing the salary range of the full-time recreation complex manager.
Okay, moving on to ordinance 16-2018. I move that we suspend the rules on the charter and read ordinance 16-2018 for its first and final reading.
I second.
I'd just like to add for the record, the emergency is a timing issue that, depending on the results of the study, work may be then implemented to improve the quality of the fields this baseball season. And that is the reason we are moving forward with haste. Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Ordinance 16, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, in an amount not to exceed $7,231 to provide professional services for the proposed Calvin Park baseball field grading and drainage improvement project and declaring an emergency.
I move that we pass ordinance 16-2018.
A second?
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Ordinance 16-2018 is passed. Moving on to ordinance 17-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance 17-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
A second?
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Ordinance number 17, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of Twilight Drive, Nemeth Drive, Cherry Lane, Hillside Road, Seven Hills Boulevard, Shady Lane, North Mary Lane, South Mary Lane, and certain city easements, rights-of-way, and property between certain termini, but constructing and reconstructing certain sanitary sewer system, stormwater drainage system, and water system improvements, and reconstructing and rehabilitating the pavement base and resurfacing roadways where necessary, in each case together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Do we have a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we pass ordinance number 17-2018.
I second?
Any commentary from council?
I'd like to make one.
Councilman?
You know, when my folks first bought their property in 1970, they said that there were going to be septic sewers there, sanitary sewers there in 5 years. Well, 5 years has finally gotten here. And I am just really impressed. I've seen a lot of business transactions over the years, and I am really impressed with the way that this came together in a timely manner, with all the hurdles, both project-related and, of course, political, that we've overcome to get this thing going at this time of year so we can get the best possible bids out there as far as cost. And again, I can't say enough about the administration, the law department, the engineer for doing these things. Rick, I know you can sleep a little bit more at night now. For doing these things in a timely, professional manner. It says something about our efforts that we had nobody that I'm aware of contest. The easements, as far as I know, went off pretty much so without a hitch. So thank you, gentlemen, ladies. And like I said before, now the real work begins. We're starting to dig some holes, so thank you very much.
Any further comments from council?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Greenwald.
But when I took office back in December, this project came up, and we looked at the timetable that we had to get this done with some pending grant money that we had. And I calculated out with the help of our council and our legal counsel and the city council, you know, exactly how much time we had to spare to get everything done on this project. And we needed at least 70 days to meet all of the requirements of days that had to pass during the period between then and now of what we had to do to get this project started, leaving us with about 20 days to spare. And I looked at the schedule and I looked at all of the things that we had to do, and I thought to myself that there was no possible way that that could get done. There was no possible way that all the people could get served. There was no possible way that, you know, all of the objections could be gotten through. But through the hard work of mayor, the administration, the engineering department, the law department, the police department, and everybody else who helped out with this project, as well as the great cooperation we got from the residents involved in the situation and not filing a bunch of objections to the plan that we put in place. Miraculously, we've got it done right on time. And I'd just like to thank everybody who's been involved with it, and particularly the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Greenwald. Any further comment? Great. Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 17-2018 has passed. We'll now have the reading of the fiscal officer certificate from February 26, 2018, pertaining to ordinance 18-2018.
To the Council of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio. As fiscal officer of the City of Seven Hills, I certify in connection with your proposed issue of notes in a maximum aggregate principal amount of $5,240,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay the property owner's portion in anticipation of the levy and collection of special assessments and part of the city's portion of the costs of improving Twilight Drive, Nemeth Drive, Cherry Lane, Hillside Road, Seven Hills Boulevard, Shady Lane, North Mary Lane, Mary Lane, South Mary Lane, and certain city easements and rights-of-way by constructing and reconstructing sanitary sewer system improvements, including sanitary sewers, a lift station and force main, and sanitary sewer service connections, stormwater drainage system improvements and water system improvements, including water mains and water service connections, and reconstructing, rehabilitating, and restoring the pavement base and resurfacing roadways where necessary, in each case together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, between the termini and in the manner provided in Resolution Number 59, 2017, adopted December 26, 2017, that the estimated life or period of usefulness of the project is at least 5 years. The estimated maximum maturity of the bonds calculated in accordance with Section 133.20 of the revised code is 20 years. That maximum maturity is based on my calculation of the life or period of usefulness of the project as measured by the weighted average of the amounts of proceeds proposed to be expended for each of the classes of the improvements included in the project, which is not less than 20 years. And because the special assessments are to be payable over a period of 20 years, and the bonds are to be issued in anticipation of the collection of those special assessments, the maximum maturity of the notes is at least December 31st of the 5th year following the year of issuance of the notes. Dated February 26, 2018, signed Sonia Herwick, Director of Finance.
Moving on to ordinance 18-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance 18-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
I second.
I'd just like to add for the record, these are the bond issuance related to Hemlock, in addition to some much smaller figures related to previous projects. By getting 17 and 18 passed on emergency, it allows the city to get the construction bids out earlier, which are typically lower during the winter months as opposed to the summer months. So moving this forward at light speed, get the project moving and hopefully save our residents some money. Roll call, please.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 18, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $5,240,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay the property owner's portion in anticipation of the levy and collection of special assessments, and part of the city's portion of the cost of improving Twilight Drive, Nemeth Drive, Cherry Lane, Hillside Road, Seven Hills Boulevard, Shady Lane, North Mary Lane, South Mary Lane, and certain city easements and rights-of-way between certain termini by constructing and reconstructing certain sanitary sewer system, stormwater drainage system, and water system improvements, and reconstructing and rehabilitating the pavement base and resurfacing roadways where necessary, in each case together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, and declaring an emergency.
You have a further motion,
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we pass ordinance number 18-2018.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 18-2018 is passed. We now have the fiscal officer certificate reading related to ordinance 19-2018.
To the Council of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio. As fiscal officer of the City of Seven Hills, I certify in connection with your proposed issue of notes in the aggregate principal amount of $250,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay part of the city's portion of the cost of improving Broadview Road and Civic Drive between certain termini in cooperation with the City of Parma and the Ohio Department of Transportation and otherwise by preparing the surface, resurfacing, and constructing and reconstructing curb ramps where necessary, constructing and reconstructing concrete sidewalks and driveway approaches, and replacing curbs where necessary, and grading and otherwise preparing the surface, installing decorative brick sidewalk pavement and materials, and appurtenant sidewalk furnishings, constructing a retaining wall or walls where necessary, and planting shade trees and providing related landscaping, drainage improvements, and lighting in each case, together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, that the estimated life or period of usefulness of each class of the improvements described above is at least 5 years. The estimated maximum maturity of the bonds calculated in accordance with Section 133.20 of the revised code is at least 15 years, since each class of the improvements has an estimated life or period of usefulness of 15 years or more, and bonds for each class of the improvements have a maximum maturity of at least 15 years or otherwise, if and to the extent a portion of the proceeds of the bonds may be determined to be allocated to a class or classes having a maximum maturity of less than 15 years, but in excess of 5 years, then the maximum maturity of the bonds would still be at least 15 years by reason of a sufficient portion of the proceeds of the bonds being allocated to a class or classes having a maximum maturity by statute or because of my estimate of the life or period of usefulness in excess of 15 years, including those classes having a maximum maturity of 20 years. If notes in anticipation of the bonds are outstanding later than the last day of December of the 5th year following the year of issuance of the original issue of notes, the period in excess of those 5 years must be deducted from that maximum maturity of the bonds. The maximum maturity of the notes is July 14th, 2031, which is 240 months from the date of issuance of the original issue of notes for the improvement. Dated February 26, 2018, signed Director of Finance, Sonia Herwick.
Thank you, Clerk. Move on to ordinance 19-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman Greenwald.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 19-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
I second.
Once again, first reading, declaring emergency. The combination of the notes on 19 and 20 are expected to result in a lower interest rate applied to our overall notes for the bond issuance. So these terms aren't yet up on the two bonds related to 19 and 20, but by rolling them into the greater Hemlock Creek issuance, it's expected to save the money on interest rate, and it's a definite savings on issuance. So once again, you have to take the unusual step of moving on emergency, but the end result should be savings to the city. Call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 19, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of $250,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay part of the city's portion of the cost of improving Broadview Road and Civic Drive between certain termini in cooperation with the City of Parma and the Ohio Department of Transportation, and otherwise by preparing the surface, resurfacing, and constructing and reconstructing curb ramps where necessary, constructing and reconstructing concrete sidewalks and driveway approaches, and replacing curbs where necessary, and grading and otherwise preparing the surface, installing decorative brick sidewalk pavement and materials and appurtenant sidewalk furnishings, constructing a retaining wall or walls where necessary, and planting shade trees, and provided related landscaping, drainage improvements, and lighting, in each case together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, and declaring an emergency.
Further motion.
Mr. President,
Councilman Greenwald.
I move that we pass ordinance number 19-2018.
I second.
Any comments? Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 19-2018 has passed. We'll now have the reading of the fiscal officer certificate pertaining to ordinance 20-2018.
To the Council of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio. As fiscal officer of the City of Seven Hills, I certify in connection with your proposed issue of notes in the aggregate principal amount of $500,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay costs of improving Pinnacle Park Drive and Old Rockside Road between certain termini by constructing, reconstructing, and rehabilitating, where am I? The pavement base, curbs, a box culvert, and other drainage improvements, driveway approaches and sidewalks, adjusting radius cutbacks, manholes and catch basins, preparing the surface, surfacing and resurfacing, and installing traffic signals and signalization where necessary in each case, together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, and acquiring real estate and interest in real estate in connection therewith, that the estimated life or period of usefulness of each class of the improvements described above is at least 5 years. The estimated maximum maturity of the bonds calculated in accordance with Section 133.20 of the revised code is at least 15 years, since each class of the improvements has an estimated life or period of usefulness of 15 years or more, and bonds for each class of the improvements have a maximum maturity of at least 15 years, or otherwise, if and to the extent a portion of the proceeds of the bonds may be determined to be allocated to a class or classes having a maximum maturity of less than 15 years, but in excess of 5 years, then the maximum maturity of the bonds would still be at least 15 years by reason of a sufficient portion of the proceeds of the bonds being allocated to a class or classes having a maximum maturity by statute or because of my estimate of the life or period of usefulness in excess of 15 years, including those classes having a maximum maturity of 20 years. If notes in anticipation of the bonds are outstanding later than the last day of December of the 5th year following the year of issuance of the original issue of notes, the period in excess of those 5 years must be deducted from that maximum maturity of the bonds. The maximum maturity of the notes is July 9th, 2034, which is 240 months from the date of issuance of the original issue of notes for the improvements. dated February 26, 2018, signed Director of Finance Sonia Herwick.
Thank you. Moving on to ordinance 20-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman Roble.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 20-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
I second.
Any comments? Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 20, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of $500,000 of notes in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to provide funds to pay costs of improving Pinnacle Park Drive and Old Rockside Road between certain termini by constructing, reconstructing, and rehabilitating the pavement base, curbs, A-box culvert, and other drainage improvements, driveway approaches and sidewalks, adjusting radius cutbacks, manholes, and catch basins, preparing the surface, surfacing and resurfacing, and installing traffic signals and signalization where necessary, in each case together with the necessary appurtenances and work incidental thereto, and acquiring real estate and interests in real estate in connection therewith, and declaring an emergency.
You have a further motion.
Mr. President,
Councilman Roble.
I move that we pass ordinance number 20-2018.
I second.
Any comments? Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-2018 has been approved. We'll now have the first reading of ordinance 21-2018.
Ordinance number 21, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to amend the appropriations of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio for the year ending December 31st, 2018.
Moving on to resolution number 5-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read Resolution -5-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
I second.
Commentary here. This is the last easement for Hemlock. Once again, moving fast. Granting this easement for $380 allows us to get our bids out and hopefully provide savings. So therefore, it's first reading only today. Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Resolution number 5, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. A resolution approving and accepting a temporary utility easement granted to the city of Seven Hills, Ohio by Tina M. Longley, 1275 Hillside Road, permanent parcel 552-06-006, for the installation, construction, and maintenance of utilities, together with all appurtenances, appropriating the sum not to exceed $380 for the acquisition of said easement and declaring an emergency.
Now, further motion.
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
I move that we adopt Resolution 5-2018.
I second.
Any comments? Call the roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Resolution 5-2018 has been adopted. We'll now have the first reading of resolution number 6-2018.
Resolution 6, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. Resolution approving a lot split and consolidation pursuant to Seven Hills Ordinance Number 911.002, permanent parcel number 551-07-004, Charles McGill, fronting on Rockside Road.
All right. That's it for legislation today. Council is now open to audience. Miscellaneous. First row.
I'm Darius President, Drive, Seven Hills. During caucus today, in answer to an attendee's question, Mayor Collins said that an alternate emergency exit had been proposed through private property onto Oak Tree Boulevard, and that City Independence denied that access to Oak Tree Boulevard. The original Glenn's Landing pre-development application was approved by the previous council with the full knowledge that the City of Independence would not allow access to the Glenn's developer to Oak Tree Road, Oak Tree Boulevard. The previous council, Councilman Travis and Councilman Frondorf got emails from me telling them that there was no access there. There was no emergency access in that approved application. There was none indicated. There was just ingress and egress onto Oak Tree. So acknowledging that Independence, this was established by Independence in 2016 before the pre-development application was approved. So with the full knowledge of the council president and pro tem, that council approved a pre-development application that had a false representation on it. That same representation went to the Army Corps. It went by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission knew it was a false representation, and it was passed. So now you guys, as I understand, you're restarting the whole deal here now. We're back at square one, according to Councilman Biassiata. And you'll be seeing the opportunity to approve another pre-development application, if I understand the process. So I would caution new council that everything in 4 corners of the pages that you're handed by developers is not necessarily true. And when things are there that need to be questioned, Engineer Collins did in fact, in his comments on the original application that was illegally approved, he indicated that the person owning the property with the easement passing over it should be contacted to see if that person agrees with that easement. That person, that owner, did not agree with that easement to begin with. The problem was Engineer Collins asked the developer, had they contacted the owner of that property? And the developer replied in the affirmative. He had contacted. He didn't tell Engineer Collins that he contacted the owner of the property, and the owner of the property said, see you in court. Not going to happen. So I think maybe engineering needs to step up their game and asking questions or getting answers that fully answered. Ask questions that fully need to be answered and get some real information. That's how I wish you guys good luck on this round, because the last one was definitely bastardized. I hope you do much better. It seems like it's going to be that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jaros. Anyone further in the front row? Third row? Fourth row? Good evening.
Nancy Lowenthal, 3051 Vincent Drive. I'm just following up with the Airbnb issue. Nobody's ever contacted that I know of anybody on Vincent. You're supposed to have a meeting. Didn't happen. I'm just really disappointed on how the police took 20 minutes to get there. When the first call was at 11:33 and they were not there until 11:50. I don't want to hear about the snow. I was out in it, I drove it, it didn't take me 20 minutes to go 2 miles. So it's just, it's everybody on council and the mayor and the police chief. They let us down about what happened. And it was really bad there. Nobody understands. You weren't there. And I want to know if the light on Pleasant Valley and Edgewood can be activated to work. Because there's been many times that people have been almost hit, or hit, and they just go right through it. They go through the red lights. I ride my bike, I've almost been hit running across the street. They blow up and down the street. I think that would slow down people coming from 77 and going to 77 up and down. It would slow that down. Is there any update on the sign getting fixed out there? As you come in to the entrance by,
Yeah, Civic in front of the rec center. I'll answer your questions when you're done.
I just don't understand why it's taken so long, and that's where we could put when meeting dates are and give the city of Seven Hills information. And also, just wondering why it took a month and a half to get the meetings on the city website for 2018. I assume, from what I heard, that's the responsibility of the director at the rec center. I don't know why it took so long, because I was going crazy trying to find them. Everybody told me they're on the website, until I called here and she sent them to me. And then all of a sudden they appear on the website. So, and is there going to be anything going on with cleaning up the filth at the rec center? Because that place is a mess. You walk through there, there's the cold air returns are black, the carpets are full of salt, the machines are broken. I mean, it's just filthy up there. There could be weeks, months, that the same piece of paper towel sits on the floor. Nothing's ever clean. And that's all I have today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any further comment from the audience? Reports and communication from the mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just very briefly, with regard to the rec center, we, as everyone on the dais recalls, we just passed a cleaning contract. We're going to be bringing back a professional cleaning service. For a period of time, we were relying on our minimum wage employees there. So I hope and I expect that you'll be seeing some improvements on that score. With regard to the Airbnb, we have been researching actually nationwide. As you may be aware, I'm sure you've been following this since it's a passion of yours. There is litigation going on with respect to Airbnb going after communities who have imposed restrictions on that service. We noted that earlier in the year, the city of Broadview Heights passed a one-year moratorium on short-term rentals defined as less than 1 or a week or less. I'm going to be coming to council with a similar proposal and imposing a penalty for violations as we try to sort through where we stand with respect to that entire issue. As you can glean, this is a giant issue throughout the country, and we certainly don't want to expose the city to unnecessary litigation. I share your concerns with the light at the top of Broadview, of Pleasant Valley Hill. We've encountered similar situations myself personally. We've looked at it. The problem is not as simple as you might expect, since there is such a great volume of traffic that comes and goes off Interstate 77. I reside on Pleasant Valley, And there are times when the traffic can be backed up easily 1,500, 2,000 feet. You can wait sometimes 4 or 5 cycles of the light to get through. We're confronted with a heavy volume of traffic, both on Pleasant Valley as well as Rockside. Wallings I'm sure you probably traveled Wallings. They have a similar problem in Broadview Heights. So I hope that answers your questions.
But it's the speed.
I'm sorry?
It's the speed that people.
Right. Yeah. Well, we do patrol, obviously, and we do issue tickets. I've seen people pulled over there. As you can expect, we have a lot of roads to cover, and we attempt to do the best we can. But I will certainly plant that concept in the chief's ear that perhaps we need to pay a little bit more attention there. One of the bigger concerns we do have as well on Pleasant Valley is at the other end, where we have so many vehicles attempting to circumvent the weight by going into the middle lane way up, maybe even towards Oakwood. Sometimes I've seen, and that certainly is a safety issue. I'm sure Mr. Todd, you're aware of it. I see it happening every day in front of my house. So we do station officers there periodically, and when they are there, the problem ceases, and then when they're not there, it picks up again. We've got the engineer looking at the possibility of some traffic control devices, physical barriers that could prevent that. There are issues with that. We don't want people hitting them and, getting injured. It becomes a problem with snow plowing. It's a big issue. And Pleasant Valley is carrying a load of traffic in both directions, particularly during the rush hours. But we are aware of it, and we are taking a look at it on a number of different levels. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Reports from directors. Director of Finance.
No report.
Director of Law.
I have no report.
City Engineer.
My latest report's on file with the clerk.
Thank you, Dan. Building Commissioner.
No report.
Miscellaneous. I'll start tonight. Ma'am, I had been working on, I know what your biggest concerns with the police, but like the mayor said, I've been looking for legislation on Airbnb. My first indication was go after the toughest ban, and that was New York State, but Airbnb took them to court, so now it's in court. I'm following that. Seattle instituted a ban. They went to court, and Airbnb settled with them, and they put a limit on 2 rooms. Another surrounding community, what they did is they put a limit on Airbnb that the house had to be owner occupied, which doesn't wipe it out altogether. Like the mayor said, Broadview Heights imposing a moratorium until we get it figured out. And earlier today, I did an interview with Newsnet 5 speaking on these issues, on the Airbnb, what I have done, what we're waiting on, and what we hope to do. So in terms of the sign out in front of the rec center, legislation was drafted in the previous council and it was tabled. There wasn't, didn't appear to be a majority was in favor of spending that money. Didn't think it was a big concern. That legislation was tabled by the previous council. I'll give everyone an update here because budget concerns are all of ours. I recently found a $9,000 grant that can be applied to the fixing the sign, so it wouldn't cost taxpayers anything. However, the sign cost is probably going to be over $20,000. So I was trying to put the second piece to the puzzle so that we can fund the fixing of that sign without using budgetary money. So if it's about $20,000, I've got $9,000 found, and I'll keep working on that. And maybe once we get through the budget process, if the new council deems this a good spend of taxpayers' money, maybe we can finish the job that way. But I'm trying to fund it through grants. If you have an email, our council clerk has a distribution to get you on the distribution of meeting agendas, council minutes, stuff like that. We can get it directly to you in a timely manner. It's my understanding that the recreation complex manager has been volunteering, so it hasn't been really getting the attention it should on the website. And we all agree there, and we want that addressed as quickly as possible. And I think that touches upon For those watching at home, we have a planning commission meeting on March 14th. I believe it's 7 p.m. And it is in regards to the Glen Landing section, the 17-acre, the smaller eastern parcel, and that is a multi-building senior facility proposed on Rockside. That's the 17-acre smaller parcel on the eastern side. So any resident at home that has a concern or question about that, that'd be an ideal time to come get your questions answered, March 14th. I do not have budget hearings scheduled yet. I'm working on gaining consensus. It'll probably be over a period of 2 days, if not even 3. But they'll be forthcoming as soon as possible. Thank you all for coming tonight. Any further miscellaneous? Oh, we'll start with Councilman Snitsky.
Do we have a zoning meeting? Do you have it on, just to tell the folks what our zoning meeting is next month?
There is a zoning meeting on March 7th.
Okay.
It has a zoning variance request from Guns Ranting.
Okay.
Collins, how do you pronounce? What kind of variance are they asking for? Are you aware?
For Glenn's Landing?
Yes,
Riparian.
Riparian setback.
riparian setback.
Due to the
And-
wetlands.
Due to the wetlands. And I have a question out to our legal team as to if the variance can come before they go before planning commission. I haven't heard back. But if the answer comes back in the affirmative, we'll have a variance hearing on March 7th.
Just
Council-
wanted to get that out there.
Thank you, Councilman. Good point. Councilman Roble,
Nothing more.
anything further, Councilman Snitsky?
I just want to say hi to Tom Littlepage. I saw him come wandering in here. It's good to see you, Tom. He was one of the he was the ward councilman in Ward 3 for a number of years, and I just wanted to say hi to him. That's it. Thank you.
Councilman Greenwald.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, a number of people tonight have voiced concerns about communications with the city and in terms of the calendar and scheduling and notifying people what's going on with the city. I certainly sympathize with that. I know when I first started coming to council meetings, I had a devil of a time sometimes figuring out when things were going on. And I know that Councilman Kelly is working on something, and it is a priority for all of us to have a up-to-date modern website that informs people what's going on here. That's all.
Councilwoman Steiger.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Councilman Elliott.
Nothing at this time.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Nothing further, thank you.
Before we adjourn, I want to extend my congratulations to Councilman Elliott and his basketball team for winning the championship over the city of Independence. Congratulations. Thank you for volunteering with the kids and bringing home the championship. I motion to adjourn council at 9:17.
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Council's adjourned.
That was terrible.
You know what?
So,
You speak down very eloquent. You said
yeah, I don't know about that. Kept stumbling.
Yeah,
No,
I
you did
sent,
well.
you can send it to Chris, and I copy John. I don't care who.
All right, what I wanted to ask you, I got a call. Well, I sent it to you. Did you, the guy on McCurry, he said that they were doing work doing on Hitchcock. I sent that over to you.